Welcome to another edition of the In the Paint Show presented by Ballislife, episode 133. The special episode with my co-host Ronnie Umana out of Texas. Just got back from the Pangos All-American Camp. And really, that's what this episode is about. We're just going to talk about the Pangos Camp. We're not going to talk about all this little side stuff and outside world. We're just locked in for 3 days on that camp, and we're just going to get into it. Ronnie, how you feeling, man?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, I am tired.
Yeah, it's a week, went fast. What are your highline thoughts? And we'll get right into it. Like I said, we're not going to talk about anything else. We're just going to talk about players. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah, no, we back at just the straight grassroots. We talking the straight high school ball. Thought the talent was good. I thought the event was good compared to the 22s. Last year it was a little bit down. Some people thought it was way more down than probably what it was. But I thought there was a really good crop of talent. There was one thing about Pangos, I think, like just dudes that come out of nowhere that really just come out and really perform and to kind of really get on the radar. And I thought this year you had a couple guys. So I thought it was definitely worth it. And I thought it was a good crop of talent. Yeah,
correct. When you first initially watch maybe the first session, or you watch the warm-ups and you look at the roster, like, okay, like you said, where's the Jalen Duran? Where's the Michael Porter Jr.? Where's the DeAndre Ayton? Okay, right. They're necessarily not there, but you keep digging. Wait, that guy's pretty good. Whoa, that guy's, man, this is another good guy. Oh, another good 24. There's a lot of good 24 guards, a lot of talent in the 24 class who actually stepped up, and we're going to talk a little bit about. And like you said, we got down to picking the All-Star game at the end of the 3 days, and to be above board and to be transparent, I'm part of that selection. I was like, we left off some good players, and you knew that was going to happen, even more that like really deserving. Whereas before, we can always talk about the guys who could have been in the second game or guys in the second game who could have been in the first game, but there was some solid players who were left out of the second game again because there's a lot of mid-major plus to high majors just all in the camp, 1 through 100. So, again, they may not be 10-year pros or 10-year NBA players, but that's not necessarily was the theme of the camp.
Right. No, I agree with you on that. I thought there was some guys like, people can say, well, why is he on the top 60 game? He should be in the top 30, or this kid shouldn't be there. But it's like you said, there was a plethora amount of mid plus to high major type guys. So, and we're going by the performances. So, there's just some guys, but the talent overall was good. I mean, when you get to say, man, the kid that's in the top 60 should be in the top 30 game, you know what I'm saying? Like, that tells you that there's a good amount of talent in the building, because those both games were really good.
Yeah, both games were really good. Let's just talk about the top. Xavier Booker from Cathedral in Indianapolis took home the MVP, most outstanding player honors. George Hill, travel team out of Indiana, and that's an independent club or a club that plays on the New York to LA independent quote unquote circuit, and that's kind of what Dinos likes to do. Dinos Trigonis, our guy with the camp, is find guys necessarily that a little bit off the beaten path and off the radar. Like they're not necessarily like first team all UIBL guys, or they got to be from some big shoe circuit. He gets guys from all over. And last year I looked at my camp rankings, and I'll have those on the website here maybe in the next day or so. And I had Xavier Booker 51 at last year's camp, and he was in the second All-Star game, and that's probably where he should have been. But like, what made him? And I'd be saying he's my number one player. What made him one of the top players in this camp?
No, it's funny that you say he was your number one. He was mine. I actually did a little report finishing it up, but I have him number one. 6'11", skilled, agile, good shooting touch. I thought he played with good energy. I thought he was rebounding, and with him being a rebound, he showed like his offensive skill set, like with the handle, the passing, the athleticism. I just think with everything mixed with his size, he has a chance. Found out the kid's favorite player is Jaren Jackson Jr. You kind of get this, you see a little bit of that as far as the offensive. Yeah. But defensively, still has some ways to go on that. But I definitely think like offensively, he's he's a real talent, especially with his size of 6'11".
Sure. Yeah, he can remind me because he obviously can shoot it better than a young Jaren Jackson. He has a nice shooting stroke as a lefty. I kind of compared to some old school guys, some guys, New York players that were college All-Americans. Walter Berry, who played a little bit in the NBA and was 1986 College Player of the Year, and Richie Adams, our guy from UNLV. Now, again, just has lefties, but he shoots a lot better than them. So I kind of a mix of like a Walter Berry and Lamar Odom. Now, he's not as talented as Lamar Odom, but he moves well, and he can slide through, finish with that left hand. Obviously, does the left hand, glide through the key or finish with the dunk that a lot of lefties have an advantage of because people always play him on the wrong side or can't play him straight up. And he gets by guys. And, I mean, he's so fluid and long, and he did a great job. Talk a little bit about his recruitment a little bit. Obviously, the Michigan State has offered him. He's a Big Ten country kind of guy. He got Ohio State, I believe, Indiana, Illinois. But then now Duke is coming into the picture. So, Ani, I mean, do you think like, now that the Blue Devils are in on it, like, is it going to come down to Michigan State and the Blue Devils, or is he going to stay in Big Ten country, or do you think it's going to be hard for him to say no to Duke?
I think it's going to be between him and Duke and Michigan State. Duke's coming in really hard. I think he'll definitely look at Duke. Take I hearing that they probably will take a visit. But Michigan State has a pretty decent lead right now on that. Sure. But Duke's going to get it. Like when Duke really wants to get in, it's hard to just say like, nah, we're not interested. You're going to entertain it. It don't matter what player. Like, if they ain't commit yet, like they're going to entertain it. You know what I mean?
You got to look at the Blue Devils. Obviously, most college recruits in the last 30 years are going to say, "Oh, Duke, Duke recruits me. Other schools don't want to recruit me," or that's going to dissuade other schools from like, we're not going to waste our time. You know what I mean? I could see a one or two schools being like, you know what, we're wasting our time. And Duke, I could see a school saying that,
Right. Especially like if it gets out like Xavier Booker is taking an official visit to Duke, like shit. Like there's gonna be some schools like
why we gotta hit somebody else. We're gonna hit somebody else. So let's talk about the other targets. Obviously, we can talk about some of the guys that have already committed and some great players that haven't committed. A couple of guys that committed in this camp are KJ Lewis from El Paso, one of the best players in El Paso in many, many, many years, maybe decades. He's committed to University of Arizona. Sam Walters, 6'9" at Village School in Florida. He's committed to Alabama. Again, we're just going over. These are not necessarily the guys we're just talking about. They're just guys that have already committed. Michigan State already has a commit. Jeremy Fears from La Lumiere. I thought the two La Lumiere guards did really good in this camp, Aiden Holloway and Jeremy Fears, bound for Michigan State. We have a Duke commit in this camp, Sean Stewart, out of Windermere Prep, another Florida kid, and he's already committed to the Blue Devils. So obviously we're going to, almost all these guys are going to get, are getting recruited at a high level, are going to be recruited at the high level. What did you think about the point guard position? And there was a lot of good depth there and a lot of good 224s, and hopefully we're going to have another guest on the pod in the paint today, maybe DeDon Thomas from Liberty of Henderson. He's one of that 224 point guards that did really well. And hopefully we have KJ Lewis, like I said, the best prospect in El Paso in many moons.
Right. I thought the guard, talking to a couple NBA scouts, they didn't feel like the guard crop in that aspect was the strongest. Sure. I thought more of the wings and the forwards was probably, and I agree with that too. But I thought we saw good guard play. Like, sure. Jeremy Fears was good. Aiden Holloway I really liked. DeDon Thomas was really good. Elliot Cadeau, probably was the best point guard performing player like at the camp. Was very explosive. Showed creativity with the handle. Just and I know he hasn't really been. He didn't really play. I think this past school season. So kind of get to see him just back at it, and he looked a lot better than he did last year. He's seen some real improvement from last year's Pangos. So I mean, you saw like some really good players. AJ Johnson, who really blew up after the first April period, like a big guard, big lead guard. But I thought I think the guard crop was solid this year. I thought you saw some good performers. Now, when you're talking about like the next level, like guys that you may see that maybe the NBA, that wasn't at its strongest. But I think
that wasn't there yet.
Yeah, that wasn't there. But I thought the production, you saw a lot of really good productive guards.
I agree with you on that. So I saw a lot of good college guards. Again, Dino's brought in a lot of 224s to kind of make sure he wasn't short on guards. Last year, a couple of the teams were a little short on guards.
Yeah.
There was a couple of injuries. A couple of guys had some emergency things happen, but he was a couple of teams, they couldn't find the chemistry because they didn't have the guard play. So he had more guards this year, which was good. Like you said, a nice crop of 224s. And then with a couple of ones, I like the Philly guards, Ahmad Noel and Rob Wright from Newman Goretti, Ahmad Noel's from Imhotep. Those two teams are usually nationally ranked Fab 50 teams, and they have young guards and good young players. So they did a good job. Again, Didon Thomas's team, Liberty, won the state championship in Nevada, and like he was the ringleader. And I think, like you mentioned a little earlier, he did really good and showed well for himself. Again, these are going to be guys who can run teams, going to be college guards. Like you said, there wasn't the 6'4", 6'5" guard that is just dynamic and is a lead guard. Now, there's some good guards that maybe the combo guards or wing, more wings. And that's why you mentioned A.J. Johnson. I think he's the intriguing guy. I don't think he necessarily was the best guard, but when you look at his size, that's a guy you look at down the line. Okay, if he can clean a few things up, he may be one of the best, if not the best 223 that was at this camp. Now, when we talk about the 224, they're going to have another year of development. But for the guys in 223, he's very intriguing.
Yeah, him, Jaden Harper, Ron Harper's son. I really liked him. Again, like intriguing, like a 6'5" kind of combo. Could be really good down the road. Like you say, very, very intriguing. Like AJ Johnson, got to really lock in for like a game and a half on him. And I was just like, I agree with you on that. It was just like big, like long guard, has the tools, just not there yet. But we say 5 years from now, he was the best guard prospect and maybe the best player from that camp. It wouldn't be too surprising. Like you see the upside.
Yeah, not from the guard position. I think from what you see is what you get kind of guys. I think True Washington from Mountain Point in Phoenix. Again, he's a top 100 guy, but like he played his ass off, like just the play, not the projecting so much, just the play. And obviously there's 25 NBA teams in attendance at this Pangos All-American Camp. They wanted to see the projection in the future, but when we just talk about play, I think True Washington is close to the top of that list, and I think better, as good as anybody. And again, we're projecting a little bit with like guys like AJ Johnson, Xavier Booker, Yves, Missi, who's really was the revelation of the camp, and we'll talk a little bit about him. But when you talk about how they played, I don't think you're going to find much better than like Ian Jackson, who was a guest on our In the Paint show a couple podcasts ago from Cardinal Hayes. Like he's really good right now, like really good. Like he can shoot. He shot at a high percentage. He has enough wiggle to get by, and we're comparing him a little bit to Isaiah Ehelim, who's probably another great 224 wing guard prospect. 2'3" or /3'2", and he is athletic. You look at Isaiah; he's a great mid-range player. He's probably the best mid-range player in high school basketball, realistically, at a high level. When the game gets better, he slows down and goes to his mid-range shot and finishes. But like, Ian Jackson, you look at him, he's sneaky athletic. And so, those two guys were terrific. Again, they're leading a terrific crop of 224 guys, and including the guy we just mentioned. Give me your thoughts on, he has a four name, Yves theory. Missi. Give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, like you said, you're right. He's a revelation from this camp. I mean, 6'10", 6'11", how they list him. Long arms. Like I had him as one of my 3 best rim protectors from that camp. Just really active, block shots, athletic, good second leaper. I thought Yves was just all over the place. It just made an impact in both ends. Just motor and athleticism using his length.
Yeah.
I didn't see how much of he's not a guy you really just throw the ball into like that right now. But from a guy that you didn't know who the hell he was to, arguably a top 3 to 5 performer just straight performance, or 3 to 7 from that camp. I mean, it says a lot. And just goes to show you just bigs, like just playing hard and using your athleticism and length and not worried about, trying to see if you can shoot threes or do stuff like that. Like Yves wasn't doing all that stuff. He was just playing hard and just showcasing how like his twitchiness as just an athlete. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what was your thoughts on him? Like I was like, who the hell is this kid? But
well, he's from Cameroon and he kind of came onto the scene, and I just thought guys were asking me about some of the big guys. I go, do you see that way that guy moves and jumps? Like he just the way he gets up so fast and he finishes so good. And like you said, his work ethic was strong, and he did a really good job. And people were kind of saying, they're asking me about the other bigs. I'm like, just look at the way he moves and gets to his second jump and finishes a play. Like he's just doing it in a heartbeat moments. You're talking about some of the true guys that are 6'11", 7 foot.
Right.
They're not moving like him.
No.
Especially on that second jump. He gets a lot of credit. Like I said, if you look at those two guys, like I said, most people didn't know about Missi coming in. But if you look at him in Booker didn't start as a high school sophomore 2 years ago before he came to this camp. He wasn't even starting for his high school team. So now he's leaving this camp as a top 5 guy and maybe in running for number 1. Do you think Booker can be number 1? And how high do you think Missi can go in 224?
Booker can be number 1. I don't think he, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. Yeah. Like, people were asking some guys, like, do you think the Pangos camp is still like, is it something that we can miss now, like the All-American camp? And I was like, you got all these NBA scouts here. You got the whole tradition, the legacy. Dino's talks about James Harden, Anthony Edwards, Russell Westbrook. Sure. And I think Xavier Booker did something this past week, and that was like a resume builder. You see what I'm saying? Like DeJuan Wagner Jr. and those guys, like they have more of a resume.
Correct.
And I think now Xavier Booker can put himself in the conversation for number 1 because coming to Pangos All-American Camp and being the MVP is a resume builder. You know what I mean? Like before it was like when people talked about it, you're saying, well, he had a good week. He's had a few good weekends, but what has he really done? All right. You come to a camp.
Justify him to be that high.
Right. He comes to a camp like this, he performs, he's the MVP. Now there's some real validity. You got an argument now. Now, do I think he's number 1? Not right now. Do I think this time next year? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find the rankings he was number 1. But I do think he has now started to build a resume into making a case to be number 1.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. DJ Wagner, you got to kind of knock him off the throne, I think, still, in my opinion.
Right.
Even though he picks and chooses where he goes, and that's fine. He's got the pedigree. He plays for one of the, best teams in the country. He's well-known, that kind of thing. So, we want to I think we're going to bring in KJ Lewis now. Like I said, he's more of a camp veteran. He's been around at too many of those events. He kind of people found out about him outside of Texas. When he went to the Pangos Fresh Soft Camp, and he's kind of grown from there, and he's got a major scholarship and accepted it to University of Arizona, and that's kind of what you're saying. That's what these camps are about, to try to get out there, no matter where you're from. Like you said, Booker didn't start for his high school team, and who knows where Missi's from. I mean, Missi just kind of came out, and everybody's like, wow, look at that guy. So let's bring in KJ now to the In the Paint show. KJ, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Good, KJ.
What's up?
How's everything going?
It's going good. I'm glad to be
great.
Back home.
Yeah. Did you get a little bit of rest and did you recover a little bit?
No, I definitely got some rest. I slept like 11 hours. I was tired.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, I'm definitely rested up.
Yeah, no, I knew because you were like, "Oh, tell me anytime you can come on." I said, "KJ, you need to get some sleep, man."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so no, KJ, you had it was a good performance this week at the Pangos. Just talk about, you played a lot on the ball, showed your creativity, just like as a passer. You got into your mid range jumper. Just talk about what was your mindset going into the camp and what you felt like you were able to show, and just your overall experience.
My mindset coming into this past week was just to prove a lot of people what I can do with the ball in my hands. Which was like creating for others and shooting the ball with confidence and consistency. So I think those two things were in the back of my mind coming into it. But overall, the process of it was amazing. I was there last year. Last year was more like a dang. I'm glad to be invited. Trying to fill it out, playing with the
Sure.
upperclassmen since I was a underclassman. But this year is like to really show people my game has grown. And to be one of those upperclassmen that people talk about, like, dang, he's one of the best players in the country, and one of the best players in the camp. So it was a great overall process for me.
Yeah, that's a great experience and a great way to look at it. Is some of the pressure off you this summer? And in this is camp and just any event you go to because you've already made your decision? Like, is that you think give you a chance better to expand your game, or is it just, hey, I felt comfortable with the college I chose and I just need to get it out of the way?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
Definitely like a stress relief to
yeah,
know where I'm going, but also one of those things to get feedback from one coach, and expand on that feedback and grow my game in the aspects that they need me to work on. And I think with Coach Lloyd, he's a great coach, and the offense is a well-rounded offense that fits my game. And so all the feedback he gives me, I think is a great way to expand and in camps and in big time tournaments.
yeah. That makes
What's
sense.
what's something that Coach Lloyd taught you? You made a point that Coach Lloyd kind of tells you some stuff that you need to work on. What's some things that he's kind of told you he wanted to see from you, that you're able to be able to showcase this spring?
Definitely going when I get to the rim, going off 2 feet, finishing through contact, um, shooting more confidently, because he says I have a great jumper. I just need to shoot it with confidence.
Sure.
And then just another thing with my mindset, being more positive, not being downing myself on missed shots or turnovers, and just being a more of a leader and a dog and getting back to having fun, with the game.
Oh, 100%. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like you said, because you gotten the recruiting process out of the way, did you notice when you were like getting recruited that maybe coaches weren't being like, "Oh, your game is so great. You can do all this. You can come here and do this wonderful thing." But now you're more like, "Hey, I know where I'm going to fit in." And like you said, Coach Lloyd and the staff is being a little bit more honest with you and telling you what you need to work on, especially within the high school setting. You can kind of dominate high school El Paso ball. So now you got more of do you have more of a true evaluation of what you really need to work on to go in and get playing time?
Definitely. I
Yeah,
think during the whole recruiting process, coaches they tell you like a little bit of what you want to hear.
sure.
Um, and I think from the first day Arizona started recruiting me, they just been honest with me, and not too many college coaches or schools do that with players.
Sure.
Um, I think that's like the biggest thing that stood out with Arizona. And like till this day, they're still completely honest with me. Um, and they tell me the stuff I need to work on, and they tell me the stuff they like. And then again, just going back to learning off the feedback and growing off the feedback. So when I get into high school, I'm working on the things to get me ready for the next level, which is in a few months. So
Yeah, it's going to go pretty quick.
yeah.
Yeah. So what are you're just coming off this camp, be just give yourself a little grade. What did you think you did? Like if you're in a report card, how well did you do? And then what is your um, plans for the rest of the summer?
For a grade,
Yeah.
I'll probably give myself like maybe a B plus, A minus around that area.
Okay.
Um, just I don't a B plus just because I feel like there's little stuff I could have done better on. like pick and roll reads, less turnovers, a little bit
Sure.
more energy in certain days, and just being more of a leader. And then plans for the summer, just to continue to, dominate off this pretty good week that I had, and
Sure.
to grow more, to show more people that, again, I can shoot the ball really well. Um, um, and then just to continue to dominate in these camps. Like I have the Adidas All-American Camp coming up.
Yep.
Um,
Gotcha.
hope, yeah, hopefully the NBA, NBPA Top 100 Camp I can get invited to. So just to continue to dominate in those, those camps and those big atmospheres.
Sure.
KJ, this was like the first time I talked about being on the ball. Where I really got to see you on the ball and like really be able to play make and also score at the same time. Obviously, in the spring earlier, that wasn't something that saw much of, just more you on the wing being a
Yeah.
slasher. But kind of seeing you on the ball and making plays, um, you seemed like you had a fun time just passing and getting others involved. Is that always something? It was a little bit new to me because I've always, because everyone athlete, really can get to the rim and finish, but saw some real enjoyment from you facilitating. Is that something you always like talk about that? Like, is that something that you really enjoyed or just, and it's always been an underrated aspect of your game?
I think for sure. Like I always like getting people involved. I think I'm one of the like a few players that play unselfish in like those type of camps. Um, and I think with drive, like I was less ball dominant just because we always had those other great players around us. Um, but now with like my new team, Southern Assault, Coach Vaughn like expects me to make plays, um, and get people involved, and also when we need a bucket to be able to, give the team that bucket. So I think it's always been a part of my game. But like you said, I think it's just been under the radar.
Uh, KJ, let's talk about the other guys on your team. You played on the Syracuse team. That was the name of the team. You had Elliot Cadeau, Marvell Allen was on the team. You guys had a couple good bigs. It seemed like you guys had pretty good chemistry, especially with you, Elliot, and Marvell. You guys kind of fit naturally together. Just talk about that. Who impressed you? And then, what did you think of Elliot's, with that dunk he had on Saturday? Just talk a little bit about that.
Now, those two are definitely my guys. We
Yeah,
talk all outside of basketball.
sure.
So like playing with each other wasn't like something new, where we had to adjust like slowly. I think we naturally just clicked fast because we're unselfish,
Sure.
and we can score without the ball in our hands.
Sure.
Um, I feel like it was just like, when you see a bunch of great players in the NBA, like KD, Steph, and Clay, like they can score, but
Yeah.
they can feed off each other too. So
Sure.
like if one is like has it going, we know to continue to feed them. But if it's like the defense is focusing on them, one of us can also go get a bucket. And I think that's how me, Marvell, and Elliot were playing with each other. But the dunk was crazy. Honestly, I just like the stuff that he does, it's low key like amazing. Like he's short and like
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like he gets off the floor so quickly.
Sure.
And it was like towards the end of the game, so I didn't think he was gonna do it. And I didn't
Yeah.
think the big was gonna jump either. But
Yeah.
definitely probably one of the best highlights of the camp by far.
Yeah, I didn't think like I was like you. I was towards the end of the game, he's not going to go and dunk it because he's like deceptive with it too. Like
Right.
he'll just get up real quick coming off one, and then when I saw him rise up, I was like he just bullshitting, like, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden he just got it. I was like, whoa,
It was
like
crazy.
him and Jaden Harper had the two best plays of the whole camp. The dude do it off the backboard.
Oh yeah.
And then,
I
yeah,
seen it. That was crazy too. Yeah.
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 No,
Well,
they both. Elliot did some crazy stuff. One game in the back gym, I think it was our first game. He was like, it was a leak out. It was towards the end of the game too. So we kicked it ahead, and he was like by the block. He took one dribble and did a 360 with one hand. It was crazy. So like he has sneaky, like it's not even sneaky bounce. It's just his bag is deep for him being a point guard. Like you don't see
right.
too many explosive point guards like that.
Yeah. He doesn't need to run that much. He doesn't need
Right.
to gather. He just does it real
Right.
fast. Like, oh man, he can get up. I saw him do a windmill and obviously that dunk. So that was pretty impressive. Did anybody else impress you on the camp? Maybe that wasn't on Syracuse. Any guy you can point to that you didn't know much about, or you just thought like, dang, he did good this weekend?
The guy y'all definitely talking about, Xavier. I think he was doing good. We played against his team too.
Sure.
He can stretch the floor out, can shoot it really well.
Yeah.
Jeremy Fears, Aiden Holloway,
Yeah.
Wesley Yates, Chris, like a bunch of my close friends. I think we're all just competitive and we love the atmosphere of like camps and stuff like that. So
sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we were talking about Aiden and Jeremy earlier. Just they get a lot done. They're just like shifty with it, scoring. We're just talking about like the guards in the camp, just how productive y'all were, and you included. Like y'all were just really, really productive in that camp. And Ronnie was talking about how Dino's wanted to add more guards this year, and like in Chris, like I didn't talk about Chris. I mean, Chris. People kind of, I know that Chris Johnson may have some, every now and then, Chris being Chris Johnson, but, he's uber talented and people don't know he was playing with a dislocated finger.
Yeah, right.
For the last 2 games, you know what I mean? So, like, and I was like, Chris, you still going to play? He's like, hell yeah, I'm going to play. So, like, I give kudos to him. Just, a lot of guys could have just been like, whatever about that, but he continued to play and still showed a lot.
KJ, we're going to bring on your teammate from Syracuse, Marvell Allen. He's on the line right now, so you can say what's up with him, and we'll let you go, and we're going to talk to him. Marvell, are you there?
What's good?
Yo, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
You can hear us?
We hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let y'all get to it, man.
Ask him a question, KJ, before we go.
Yeah, KJ, ask him a question.
Ooh, question.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, bro, like the lob I threw, was it really bad, or you was frying?"
It was bad.
No, it wasn't. Marvell swear I throw him bad lobs. Like it was a great lob. That's why he finished it.
It was bad. He made me jump.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do. Show your athleticism.
I didn't feel like jumping.
That's funny.
It's crazy.
That's funny. All right, KJ, we'll let
Appreciate
you go.
y'all.
Appreciate you, KJ.
For your time.
All
right. Take care. Marvell, we appreciate you jumping on. We're on with Marvell Allen of Montverde Academy. He also played on that Syracuse team we're talking about in the camp. Marvell, talk a little bit about the chemistry you had with Elliott and building with KJ. And you guys had a pretty good backcourt. You guys all did pretty well.
Chemistry, it was good because we first made up in our minds that as a team that we were gonna lock in on defense and run and push up whoever get the ball. We can all handle it. So we just came together like that. And the type of guys that we all had, we had unselfish players. And when you have unselfish players, you can do anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Were you satisfied with your performance? Do you think you give yourself a good grade, or do you? Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but how do you think you did?
I think I did well. I give myself a good grade. My leadership, my energy, my talking, but I know I actually could have did more, but I was in pain. I had a knee injury, but I kept playing, so I did what I can do.
Sure.
Marvell, what do you feel like you were able to show at this camp that maybe people don't really know about you as far as your skill set?
I'll say getting others involved. The way I can find people on the pick and roll, driving to the basket, hitting the open guy. I think I did real well this weekend at getting others involved.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if you really had a knee injury. You were really getting downhill. You were showcasing your athleticism, but I agree. Like you're putting a lot of pressure on the defense and getting guys involved. And I thought like y'all's team was like clicking. Ronnie talks about just your relationship with like KJ and Elliott, and it was just hard, for other teams to really contain y'all. But I agree with just the facilitating. I thought you really got the spots and were able to make plays for others and find your teammates.
Sure.
Yeah. Marvell, talk a little bit about the progression from last year, playing on a good high school team, and then you guys win the States. and then you guys get to play on a national stage and win that state champions invitational. Kind of what did that do for you? You obviously played with some good players, and you're obviously one of the leaders. And then what did that do for you going into the summer?
What it kind of did for me was like kind of show like what the work I put in, also like what the team put in, where it got us at, and going into the summer, I know Montverde it's a like kind of bigger, even bigger stage with the
Sure.
competition they play in the NIDC. So it just pushed the edge on me to work harder, to get even better because it's kind of like a mirror of college. What college is going to be like. Those conference games every night when you got Sunrise, Bishop Walsh, AZ Compass, those guys like that, IMG. So it's like you playing competition every night. So I know I'm gonna be pushed, and I can't take no night off. Like every night, I gotta come to play. Like based on when I was at Calvary, I would say we'll probably play a district game where it's like less competition. So
Sure.
I know I got to be ready at all times with Montverde, and also I'm gonna get better. It's just gonna make me a better player for the next level.
That makes sense. Yeah. Did you feel like, obviously you can maybe take a playoff or give 95% instead of 100? Did you kind of want to get that out of your system in your last year as you prepare for college? Was that kind of one of the things you wanted to do?
Facts. Because I admit, like I can take breaks sometimes. I do take breaks sometimes, but
Sure.
I'm not better from that. Like especially on the defensive end, locking in.
Got you.
Absolutely. You talked about just how the mental shift that's going to take place for you going day in and day out. Talk about how you've kind of mentally prepared yourself for that. Obviously, like what going day in and day out, even in practice and games. What's kind of I always talk about, you want to make a change, like you want to get to a different level, you got to make a shift in your mindset. Like talk about how that's been going, just getting ready for that.
It's been going. I've been prepared for it, so it's been going well. I just main thing, just keep trusting in God, praying every day, asking Him to help me, and just I know that the future, what the goal is, at the end, at the finish line, what it's gonna look like. So the grind that's gonna get me there is gonna be worth it. So just got to go through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marvell, at the camp, you mentioned, I know people ask you, and sometimes it could be a little repetitive and a little boring, obviously, or you're just like, man, these guys are asking the same questions. So you were telling people that maybe you have Texas, Florida State, and Kansas. Now, those three are kind of like in various parts of the country. Do you just kind of want to like keep your options all open? And like maybe you want to see different parts of the country before you kind of decide? Like, are you just that's the way you are? Do you want to see what's out there in the world, or like do you have a big family and maybe that's going to be a consideration, or do you just say like, hey, I'm open-minded and I want to I want to not leave myself short, want to give myself every open option?
I'm open every option.
Yeah,
I want to give everybody a chance. No matter how big, how small the school, where it's located, I want to give everybody a chance.
sure, that makes sense. And what are your goals this year? Obviously you guys got Kwame Evans and you guys got a good team going over to Montverde. What's your goals for your senior year, and like how good can you be? Like, do you think you could be, first team All-American? What's your goals going into this once the summer's done?
Um, National championship, McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand, all those big time accomplishments, and just getting better for the next level, making each
Gotcha.
other.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all team gonna be loaded this year. They kind of Montverde really just kind of just reloaded with you. They added Liam and stuff like that. Have you had a relationship with some of the guys that are on the team? Have y'all been talking? How's it?
Yeah, Def. And I know most of them just from being around the game and playing with each other camps and teaming up on some teams. So I know a couple people.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate your time, Marvell. Thank you. I know you had a long trip back to Florida, so we appreciate you taking some of your time to jump on with the In the Paint show. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, bro, man. Good luck the rest of the summer. So yeah, he's to the point and a little quiet, but like, he's really confident. I mean, that's kind of what I get out of him. He's just confident in his game and confident in where he's going and what he's going to do. Wherever college he picks is like, he's gonna want to make his stamp, and like he thinks he can get on the court and contribute. I think that's why he's going to Montverde.
Yeah, he like you say, he has a real confidence about himself. Just like he knows, like, okay, when I go in there and I show what I can do, it's all gonna work out. And like even at the camp, just him playing through a knee injury, and then like that second and third day could be tough, and then going to the All-Star game. But even how he plays, there's a confidence about him. Like he knows he's going to be able to impact the game here and there. I think he's very calculative about how he kind of attacks and how he approaches things. But definitely, talented prospect. I mean, just can really use his body, to create space and just I mean, Montverde is going to be loaded this year. Have a chance to win another national title.
And speaking of national titles, we're going to bring on now Didon Thomas Jr. from 224 guard from Vegas, who won a big state title. And he's obviously reaching for more, going into 2 more seasons left, so he obviously can do it again. Didon, can you hear us? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Appreciate it,
man.
What's up?
Thank you for jumping on. Appreciate you coming on, and especially on a short notice. Glad you didn't have to travel too far to get home, like a lot of guys did. I was tired. Did you feel good? Like you got some rest? Or are you ready to go for the next thing, or no? You do feel like you need a little break, and are you ready to go get back in the gym?
Oh no, I got back in the gym already. I was back in the gym the next day. But my body feels good. I got a tournament this weekend coming up with my high school, so yeah, I'm just getting ready for that.
Gotcha.
I first time seeing you, I think it was a court 3. So I came in Monday morning and I saw you kind of walking around like you're very confident just in your approach. And then like the first minute or 2 of that game, I mean, you probably had like 4 points and 2 assists. Just talk about like you play with a lot of confidence. You get others involved. You know how to run a team. That was my first time really seeing you play. Just talk about, leading a group of guys that, just kind of having just put a team together for you. You know what I mean? Like is there any challenges in that, or just kind of talk about like what that process is for you?
Well, I think that off the court, you just got to get to know them a little bit, and then it'll translate onto the court. So you just got to build the little bit of chemistry in a short amount of time. So like that's what it's about being a point guard. You got to, like get to know your guys off the court, so like you can build that chemistry and stuff, so you can lead them on the court.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about Didon. That's a good point. Were you able to like talk to your team in the breaks, or is it just kind of like you're leading by example and you just talk to them when you get in the huddle, or were you able to like talk to them a little more like in the hotel or like in the breaks in between games and stuff?
Well, kind of both, but I didn't go to the hotel. I was at my house, so.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, mostly led by example. So, like, I think they just fed off my energy in the game. So I think they just had to bring up the intensity that I was playing at. And, I talked to them a little bit in the huddle and, like, start kind of talking to them about what they should be doing and stuff, and just leading them in the right direction and getting them in the right spots.
Yeah, that makes sense. You played with Stanford, the team Stanford, the camp team Stanford, and you guys obviously had some pretty good players on there. Ian Jackson was on that team. Mm-hmm. You guys had a good roster. I think AJ Johnson was on that team. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about some of the guys that you didn't know much about on that Stanford team that you thought they played pretty well or helped to build the chemistry. Well, maybe they were quick learners or they followed your lead right away.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was my first time meeting Ian Jackson. Like, that was my first time watching him play for real. And, like, I was just really impressed on how his athleticism and how well he could shoot the ball. So, he was one of the guys that stood out to me. And I've been playing with that was my first time playing with AJ, because I've just been playing against him all this time. Like, he's a really great player, super talented, really athletic, and really smart player. And Amir Ali. Yeah, I met when he used to live in Cali. I think I knew him back then. So then when he moved away, to Montverde. It's like we just been keeping in contact. So yeah, I've known those guys for a little bit.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know Amir lived. I thought Amir lived in the West, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
like we said, we just had Marvell Allen on
Mhm.
on a little earlier, and he's talking about Montverde kind of coming together. And obviously, you guys lose Jefferson to college,
Mhm.
and you guys lose a wing as well. So,
Mhm.
what are you using this summer to kind of build your game? Like, you're going to have to carry more of the load going into the Liberty to your junior season. So, what are you using, like camps like this, and then the summer leagues you play with Liberty? Like, how are you expanding your game so that you guys don't have no fall off?
Well, the camps, I'm just using them to get better and like get more exposure, and mostly get better. But when I'm with Liberty, like I kind of like, I don't know, I just like I take on a bigger role with them.
Sure.
So like I'm more vocal. I get on them a little bit more, and I take some more shots this year. Mostly just be vocal with them, just be more of a leader, because like we're missing that role right now that we had last year. So I had to step into that role.
Gotcha.
Talk about this past season, leading Liberty to a state title, making that run. Just talk about how that season went for you guys, and you having to be again in the spearheading all of that, and just kind of the challenges that came in with that.
I think a big factor into us winning the state championship was those first 3 losses we took to Gorman.
Sure.
I think we really just took those to heart, and like those first 3, like especially that first loss, that was a really hard one to take. So I think we just used that as motivation throughout the season to get to that state championship game. But it all started like during school. Like we just bonded so well and built that chemistry off the court, especially in practice. We just went at it, and we just built that special bond off the court mostly, and just transferred onto the court.
Gotcha. D-Don, a couple things more. How fired up does it get you? Like, or what did you learn? Like when you guys won states and you finally beat Gorman after the 3rd time, like you guys didn't get invited to the state champions invitational. And we just had Marvell on, and Marvell Allen was at the camp. He did well, but like he was able to shine on that stage and his team won it. Like, did that make you like, damn, like nothing's guaranteed? Or is that just like, you know what? That's just making me more hungry. I'm going to kill this summer. I'm going to kill everybody and keep getting better as a team, but also better and better individually. Did that motivate you, or did that just teach you like, man, nothing's guaranteed?
Kind of both, because during that time I was hurt, but like I was in the boot that whole time. So even if we got invited, I wouldn't have played. I was in the boot, but also it kind of hurt that we didn't get invited, because I feel like we should have got invited, and I feel like we would have had a real good chance to win that championship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for next year, what's the goal? Obviously it's win the state, but like had a great season. What's the goal for next year for the team?
For the team, just win as much as possible and just do our best. Like I know we're not as talented as last year, but I still feel like if we still play hard and play together, I feel like we can still win a state championship. But most of all, just win as many games as possible and just mostly have fun doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of having fun, Didon, I want to get your honest take. Like, obviously your father played at UNLV, and he was a high school star in LA at Taft High School, where AJ went. Mm-hmm. Your dad was obviously an all-state player there. But obviously there's NBA scouts there, and Coach Gerg, who's an assistant coach under Tark, is there. Your dad knows who he is. You probably know who he is. And like, you want to play good. All the guys want to play good, obviously. But like, were you guys in that all-star game just tired? Or like, could you just not pick up the energy? Like, or were you just disappointed? Like, man, guys, this is the last game. We should have all done better. Or was it just you guys nobody picked it up, and then it just kind of came into like a dunk fest? What did you take from that, and kind of what did you think about that? Were you like, okay, it is what it is, or were you like, damn, we should have all done better because it's our last impression?
Honestly, I think guys were tired because it was a really long weekend. Sure. And in the 4 games that we played before, I think all of us just played really hard just to get to that all-star game. So I think guys were just burnt out. But at the beginning of the game, I felt like we were doing good and playing hard. But as the game went on, I don't think guys just got lazy.
Yeah.
Start like just doing whatever, you know.
Sure. Yeah, not getting back and things like that. And it is what it is. I think we all noticed that a little bit. Obviously, we didn't want it to happen. We all noticed that. But what did you think about your camp? You know, there's a lot of 224 guards that were good. Rob Wright, number 7, was good. Yourself on the team. Tahad Pettiford, the lefty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ali Cadeau. A lot of 224 guards were good, and you guys are all in the 5'11" to 6'1" range, so you guys are all can match up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of your performance, and who else impressed you?
I think I played good throughout the weekend against all those guys. I think Tahad, I think it was the second game we played Tahad's team. Me and him batted a little bit, so I think I think I played really well against him. I think that was my best game, that second game. But Tahad pretty much stood out to me the most.
Wow. And why
y'all went back and forth. That was the game I watched. That was the game I watched. It was on court 3.
Yeah.
Just like it was just back and forth. I'm like, coach.
Yeah.
You know, I thought you were gonna go get 20 and 10. You know?
Nah, me and him are off the court though. I've known him for a while. I think since CP3 camp last year. So I think we're friends off the court. So I knew before the game we were gonna go at it a little bit.
What is it about his game that makes it nice? You know, obviously he's a lefty and he can kind of shifty. What is it about his game that makes it maybe a difficult check or that you like? And obviously you're lefty too, so it's like it's hard. You know, some guys don't lefty guarding a lefty sometimes a little different.
Yeah, I think it's just his athleticism, and he really has a really nice quick twitch with his handle and stuff. And his handle's really tight, real shifty, and he's really athletic. I think that's what separates him a lot from most other guards. And he can shoot the ball real well.
Gotcha. Now, looking at the camp overall, and not necessarily on your team, did anybody stood out to you? It's like, dang, that guy's really good, or I think that guy's going to be really good, you know, or he's going to be in the NBA or something like that. Did anybody really stand out to you?
I think it was the third game. We played a big kid called Yves, Missi, I think.
Yeah, we were just talking about.
Yeah, that dude. He's huge. He's a monster. It's crazy. Like the things he was doing in our game, like getting rebounds, dunking all over us and stuff. It was crazy. Yeah, he really stood out to me.
What grade would you give yourself as your performance from this camp?
Like an A-, B+. I think. I feel like I could always do better and stuff, but I still think I played pretty well.
Great, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. You know, obviously, you being a 224 and you showing you can play with some of the best guards in the country is really good for you. And I would say an A- it makes a lot of sense. B+. Right. Now, talk a little bit about the rest of your summer. You also have a summer league coming up. Mm-hmm. Are you guys going to Section 7 the following week? And then what do you got planned for the rest of the summer?
Yeah, so we're in the summer league here with other high schools. Then we got Section 7 coming up.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for Section 7 because last year I think we should have won it, but I think we have a good chance to win it this year. Okay. And then after Section 7, we got the Adidas camp with Dream Vision and Rock Hill. And after that camp, I think the third 3SSB stop is in Rock Hill. And after that is the championship weekend for Adidas in LA. And then after that, I think the last tournament we have is here in Vegas.
Gotcha.
I forgot what it's called though.
Maybe the circuit. Maybe it might be the circuit a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah, the summer's real long, so.
Yeah,
you got to obviously get rest, and I'm glad you were able to sleep in your bed and play good. That's a big advantage, not getting distracted. So we appreciate your time. Thank you for jumping on a quick notice. Thank you, Didon, and congrats on your good play, and keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Ani, just pretty interesting that KJ and Didon both give themselves the A- B+ joint.
Right. I was about to say, I said, damn, did y'all get the same report card?
Yeah. Well, I think that makes sense. If you think you played well and you're trying to be a little humble, obviously they know they're on. This is going to go out to a lot of people. Right. They're trying to be a little humble about it, but I think they're really
both play really well. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
I think for OJ, it's tough, the toughest, because he'd been there and like he's already committed and people already have an opinion of him. Like, because now they're starting to say, how's he going to fit in Arizona? What's Tommy going to use him? Like,
right.
for like Marvell, he's not committed yet. You know what I mean? So people are still kind of guessing what he's doing. And for D-Don, it's like house money. If D-Don plays even okay and plays at a B- or a B, nobody's going to be like, oh, that's terrible. You know what I mean?
Right.
He came out as an A- or A or whatnot. It's like, man, that's really good for him. You know what I mean?
Especially as a 224, at the camp. Like how KJ talked about how from last year to this year, how he really want to prove something, that as an underclassman coming in to Pangos camp, you just want to just have people know who you are. Like you said, you playing with house money.
Yeah. He was definitely playing a little bit high, but he did really good. So yeah, let's talk about those 224 guards. Honestly, I think top to bottom, I thought Elliot Cadeau, I'd give him the nod as like just overall presence, game, athleticism, feel, performance, and potential. I thought he did really well, especially coming off that, like you mentioned, we didn't really touch on that a lot. Elliot at Bergen Catholic. Now, honestly, those are great high schools there in New Jersey. They are high level competition. It's like as close as you're going to get to the NIBC, besides like, Texas UIL Class 6A playoffs, or like the Mission League in Southern California, or the Catholic League in Philly. Like those are really good teams.
Right.
And they had good teams. He missed most of the season. He had a high ankle sprain. And as we know, high ankle sprains can be tricky. So you're thinking like, oh, maybe he's going to come back. Because I was telling that to some of the scouts and some of the NBA guys that I was sitting next to me. I'm like, that guy was been hurt. So I was kind of being like, well, make sure he may go 85%.
Right.
He's coming off an injury. And they're like, oh, okay, shit. Well, when he got that dunk over the top of the 7-footer, like KJ on Akeem Olajuwon, and you're like, okay, that injury, there ain't no problem with that injury.
There's no problem with the ankle.
Yeah, there's no problem with the ankle. So, Boogie Flan played really well.
Yes.
We didn't touch on him from Archbishop Stepanak. I know I could tell by D-Don, just like his voice, like I think he thinks Ian Jackson is like really, really good.
Yes. He started, he's a very quiet kid. He's confident, but when he started talking about Ian, he's like,
dude can go. So here I would say, and I'm going to give out my top 60. Again, this is not from the cream of the crop selection. It's just my top 60. I'll put it linked. I already have a story on ballslife.com. We'll follow up with this pod. We'll publish it. Obviously, we're in the middle of the week here, but you'll be probably listening toward the end of the week. And by the end of the week, I'll put out my top 60. But I'll just give my top 5 now and tell me what you think of it. And I have Xavier Booker 1.
Mm-hmm.
6'11", 223 lefty, the fast riser from Cathedral in Indiana. Ian Jackson, I'll have him 2, 224 shooting guard, wing guard. Our sophomore of the year last season, who was we're glad he was a guest on the In the Paint show a couple seasons ago, or a couple episodes ago, I should say. It seems like a couple seasons ago, but a couple episodes ago.
Right.
Jeremy Fears, I would put at 3. Again, 223 guard, Lalamir. I thought he did really well. And then the guy who DJ was impressed by, he did the mystery man a little bit of the camp. And really, everybody's talking about him. I'd have him number 4. A little bit of surprise, but I'll take him 4 is Yves Missi, West Nottingham in Maryland, 6'11", 224. Again, like DJ said, he gets off the ground and he's going to finish that dunk or that rim finish or that rim run faster than your guys are. Be like, whoa, did he just do it? Yeah, he did. The play's over. He's already running back on D. Like, you have no chance. Like, that type of quick twitch as a big guy and just moves very well. And then my 5 guy, I'll have Bay Fall from Acceleration. He's been around. He's been to a lot of camps. He's been at the Pangos Junior All-American Camp. He's probably one of the best. Besides DeAndre Ayton, he's probably one of the best bigs I've seen at the junior level in 10 years. And it's easy to knock a guy like that because you see him so much. He's been a lot of Dinos' stuff. It's easy to critique his game, but I don't have much critiques. He needs to improve his offense a little bit. but he's worked so hard on the glasses motor. And one guy was mentioning he does like Moses Malone. He's just going to go get his own rebound. He's just going to go get his own damn rebound and finish it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if you have the same thoughts about Bayfall, but I do want to get your opinion on Bayfall just because he's been around so long, and he was a very good performer at last year's camp at the Tarkanian in Vegas.
Yeah, Bayfall. I have in my top 5. I actually have him number 2 on mine. Okay. I really liked how he played. Just was active. Again, you talk about we've seen him so much in so many like the Dinos' camps, and he's a common face. Out of the other guys, people know who Fears are, but I think Bayfall just you see him so much that you can be overly critical. But I thought one thing he did, he's brought all the energy. He defended very well, inside out, block shots, and like you said, I like the Moses Malone a reference, a guy that missed, get his own rebound. He has a quick second leap. He finished in that camp. Guys like him, you've seen traditionally, where they want to show the shooting now. They want to show I'm not just an athlete. I thought he stuck to what he does best, and that's, being a rim runner, being a guy that rebounds and blocks shots and is a high flyer. And the shooting is not bad. I think there's some upside, down the road with him as a shooter. But I thought I was going to see him potentially try to show some other things.
Yeah.
Which is, you see that at the bigs a lot. We talked about that yesterday, but he stuck to his bread and butter, even as a guy that has been seen a lot. And that's what I was most impressed with, because it's easy to veer off.
To veer off, especially if it's a loose environment, or you maybe you have a team that you don't know a guy, or the guard's not giving you the ball, or you frankly don't like the players on your team. Sometimes that happens. That didn't happen to our guests, because especially Marvell, KJ, and Cadeau built some camaraderie, and Marvell and DJ is a natural leader as a natural point guard. His father was a college point guard who played at UNLV, so that comes naturally. But not for a guy like Bayfall or one of those bigs, that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you get in a little tougher situation, and you don't perform the snuff, because that's the nature of a camp with the big guy relying on the guards. But like you said, Bayfall took that out of the equation. He's I'm going to go do what I do best. and I like that. And I appreciate, and I can appreciate that of his game. And, I would have no problem putting him 4. I wanted to reward Missi because, again, he's the new kid on the block. And sometimes we got to remember that. I think Dinos Trigonis did a good job with this camp of getting some new kids on the block, for this camp. I would be remiss not to mention a guy I saw at one of his showcases, and a lot of people don't know about him. He was at Spring Valley High School in Vegas, Farrell Compton. He's now going to Compton 224. He's tearing down the rim. And everybody goes, well, that's just dunking. The camp doesn't have a lot of structure. And there's some truth to that, but he's not shooting dumb threes or doing stupid crap. He's doing what he does good, dominating around the rim, long arms, long reach, not playing outside his game.
Right.
And I didn't see nobody trying to stop. Okay, if he's just dunking, why don't you go underneath and try to pin his shit then? No, because he'll put you in the rim with him. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and I saw some times where he got it ripped through dunk. I mean, he was just so active. He had an endless motor, And I think that can go under the radar. Actually, I have him on my list, my top 10 just performers. I mean, every time, even the one-on-ones, they weren't he was getting what he wanted because he was just so active, and he just going to use his body, finish, play hard. I just like his competitive nature. He's going to be a really good college basketball player. And I saw that I don't know if his recruitment's blown up yet or whatever, but I was man.
I mean, his recruitment's probably changing by the hour.
right, as it should. But I like him. I mean, guys like him, I would say when I was younger as evaluator, I wouldn't appreciate as much. But I really appreciate guys like him now, especially at a camp setting. He just, there wasn't a possession I felt like he really took off or wanted to take off, No,
he wanted to be there. He wanted to show himself. And that's a testament to the camp, and that's what it's for. Like you said, we can turn into this elite, rubber stamping of a top 5 guys, and it's like that wasn't what this camp. It didn't have that feel to it. It was more about who wanted it, who had the competitive nature in the camp setting, and who had the stamina. I noticed I wanted to talk about my guy Isaiah Miranda, another 7-footer from Springfield Commonwealth, Rhode Island Elite, 7 foot 223. Isaiah, quite frankly, last year's camp, I talked to him. I said, Isaiah, is everything okay? I was like, are you, he's all, man, I haven't slept since I got off the red eye on that first day. His stamina was so lacking. He just couldn't play to the level he wanted to. Obviously, he kind of looked like Derek Lively. Say, oh, I match him up against Derek Lively or Khalil Ware. And he kind of wasn't ready for that.
Right.
Quite frankly, and his physical conditioning wasn't there. And then I talked to his camp coach, Tony Bland, and he goes, well, Ronnie, I go, well, watch his physical conditioning, Tony. And he goes, oh, okay, I will. And he goes, Ronnie, he turned it on. And then all of a sudden, the second day, started raining threes like he's Draymond Green. He started hitting the outside shot. He had like 5 of them.
That's one thing about one thing about him. Isaiah Miranda he has perimeter skills. Like he has every time I seen him be able to handle it, like how he moves and shoot. Obviously, like what I liked is that he was competing on the glass and playing with some more toughness about him. But one thing I'm really intrigued by, you talk about just talent. I mean, guys like 7'7", and he has some perimeter skills to him. And when he's locked in, he's really, really good. I think he had like 25 and 8 that game. Then when he made 5 threes, like he was fantastic. That's just kind of the stuff that he can bring to the table. And I remember last year when he went against Lively and them, he wasn't ready for that. That was just, they big brothered him, right? But this year I really was, and I got to see him some in April, mid-April as well. Like he has a lot of ability,
No doubt. There's tremendous long-term potential, and his production is finally catching up a bit.
Right.
Talking about production, I want to mention True Washington from Mountain Point in Arizona.
Yeah.
Shooting guard. He cracked the top cream of the crop top 30 game. Lefty. He was the MVP of that game. One of the MVPs. I believe the other MVP, if I'm not mistaken, must have been Bay Fall.
Yeah, with Bay
Fall rebounding that shit out of the ball. And True Washington scored a lot of points. Again, as D-Don mentioned, unfortunately, the game got away from them a little bit in terms of just the competitive nature. It was a bunch of runouts. But during the camp, Mr. True Washington just lefty score. I mean, he's downhill.
Yeah.
And again, if you're a top 100 guy, like you said, a little bit of house money, as long as he played good, he was going to make a positive report. But he did even better than I thought.
Yes.
Washington did really well. And another Arizona kid that did good was Cody Williams from Perry, 6'7". He's a little bit more lanky and a little more lean, where True Washington's just more of a stout 6'4". And Cody shot it really well. He got mentioned as a top 30 cream of the crop selection. Covers ground, slasher, hit a couple deep J's. And unfortunately, his high school teammate from Perry, Pete, who's one of the top 2 or 3 225s, wasn't able to make it because of a family issue, but Cody definitely showed well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% on that. Some guys that I was very impressed with some of the bigs. It was my first time watching Papa Conte from South Kent in Connecticut, about 6'10". Loved the play that really stood out to me is he hard hedged. Yeah. And completely out of the picture when the guard passed off the pick and roll, came back and blocked it with his offhand off the glass, and then ran down court and dunked it. And I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I was with Andrew Slade. I was like, "Andrew, who is this guy?" He said, "Papa Conte." I said, "Yo, that right there translates." I'm like, I really liked him.
An NIL deal with Papa John's.
Right.
Big guy on the map. He deserves it. Yeah.
Right. No, as you should. Papa Conte. I was like, that's a dope name because I think he's a Senegalese, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I think he's Senegalese. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just like his wide shoulders and that he can move them. Yeah, he's so wide and he can move, like you mentioned. That's kind of what I thought of him. So who are the other big guys you like?
I like the Kingsley kid, Uganda Kingsley from Putnam Science. I guess he came from NBA Africa, if I believe.
Without Borders, is that what?
Yeah, Without Borders, correct. Man, just like rim protector, block shots, moves well. But one time he had a play where he cut off as a roll man, and he grabbed it like in a little tight space and just fake spin, pump faked and went and finished. And I thought just to do that off just catching the ball like a big man of his size, catching the ball and to be able to just make that move seamlessly and then finish. I was like, okay, there's some real upside with the offense with him. I think he's a real presence defensively, but I thought offensively, like I saw some flashes. I was like, okay, he could be like a reliable post threat down the road. I didn't think he had, but I was surprised by his footwork. But him, that's why I like Bayfall. Maybe I'm a guy that likes bigs. Like I like guys with like taller guys that can kind of show move and run and stuff like that. But like Kingsley, Papa Conte, Bayfall.
I like to cut you up a little bit, but sorry to do that. But to bring up point is, I like you mentioned, I'm tired of these guys all thinking they're 3-point shooters, and I like the banging and getting it done inside, like you mentioned. So that's awesome. I thought Taylor Bowen was good again. He was solid last year, top 25 last year, and he was good again. Yeah, and I'm sure you have a few more. There's probably a few more that didn't even make the. I'll give shout out to a guy who didn't even make the one of the games. Aiden Sherrill, number 105 from. I believe he's from La Lemire.
Yes.
He did well.
Yes, he did well. I like Caden Cooper. He's a kid from Oklahoma. Went to TSF in Atlanta. About 6'5", 6'6". Probably, I don't know, Ronnie. In my opinion, was the best vertical athlete in that camp.
And that's a guy I said, guys, we should maybe put him in the top game. I'm kind of glad he played in the second game because again, hindsight is 20/20 or whatever. But the top game wasn't very good. But he could have been in the top game. I thought. I thought he was the best vertical and maybe explosive athlete. Again, I don't know if he had the complete skill packages to make him the best, but like just in terms of his athleticism and that explosiveness, I thought he's the guy that stood out the most by far.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that top 60 game, you made the point, sorry to cut you off. Like that top 60 game was a really competitive game. Like I thought guys like Wesley Yates, who I think won MVP of that game, he got to really show the scoring. He's a kid, I talked to him, he was at 225 playing weight during the season, and he slimmed down to about 212. And he's moving. The past couple of weeks, he's been moving really well. And we talked about. He said, "Man, I got to losing weight. I'm back to normal. I was holding about 50 more pounds than I should." And I thought that game, just that competitive nature, you got to see the scoring and just with his size and stuff. I thought I agree with you. I thought that top 60 game, in hindsight, it was really good for guys like Caden Cooper and Wesley Yates because you got to see their skill set, in a more competitive atmosphere.
Well, I thought that, like I said, I didn't push hard, but I said, hey, Caden could be in the top game. And again, there was another 10 guys that could have been in the top game. And that's being honest. And sometimes there's not 10 guys in the top that could be in the top game. It's like, damn, let's cut it to 24 because these 6 guys should be in the second game.
Right.
But Camp really could have been in the top game. Merez Johnson could have been in the top game.
Mm-hmm.
From St. Rita, he wore jersey number 91, 6'9", 224. He had 13 points and 4 rebounds, but they kind of just stamped it. The guy I pushed for, and maybe he was a little bit not on the radar in terms of coming into this camp, was Jaden Williams, 6'9", 224 from Brookville. He wore jersey number 92, and didn't matter so much of it. He had 7 points in that cream of the crop 60, but like just his play, upright pogo stick kind of guy. Power forward, maybe he can develop some 3 skills, but like he moves really well. Yeah. And I thought he just had a good camp.
Yeah, I thought overall he was solid. That's the kid from Atlanta. I mean, from Georgia. Right. He like I thought every game I saw him, I just thought he he just played to his strengths. And I thought he, like you say, moves well, rebounded well, just was always in the mix of things. I agree with you. He was someone that I thought could play in that top 30 game. I just thought he was just consistently productive. Which is, it's a big thing, when you talk about it's a big thing in this camp. It's just, you got guys that get 25 and then, it's kind of whatever the next game. I thought if he had 10 points the first game, he's going to have 10 to 12 and then continue rebounding and alternating and blocking some shots. So,
no doubt.
I liked his activity.
The guy who, to my knowledge and to my opinion and my observation, was a no-brainer was the guy you mentioned. So talk a little bit about Imani. Wesley Yates. I was like, guys, I'm going to put him in my top 15. I said that. I'm going to put him on my top 15. I don't care what he does in the All-Star game. I don't care where we put him, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
And then that a few other scouts were like, he's not in the top game. I was like, hey, I mentioned him as he should have been in the top, and we kind of just didn't make the change, to be honest. Like he could have knocked off somebody, but maybe on paper it should have been done. But when he had 6 3-pointers and kept going deeper and deeper on them, like the second one was behind the line, the third one was a little deeper, the fourth one was even a little deeper. It's like, and then he had 26 points. I'm like, and a couple guys, everybody's looking at each other like, yeah, see, what are we saying? He had some no-look passes during the camp game. He had one strong finish. Like, to me, it was like a no-brainer. But like, I just think that his performance in the top 60 game just made it like, see, guys, like, and that's what we like to see, guys who like don't pout and sulk and leave or go sit on the bench. Is like just kind of show the scouts that they're wrong, or just show that they missed that one. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens. We're all human.
And that's a good point, because that speaks to the kid. Like when I talked to him afterwards, he wasn't worried about that stuff. He was like, hey, I should have been in the top game. I'm like you, even when people are asking me, it's like, what do you think Wesley Yates? I say he's a no-brainer in the top game. Like, and but when he came in, he just started scoring, and like you said, he would start facilitating, has some really good passes and finishing. Talking to him afterwards, he was just like, man, I just want to show what I am. And he's such a good kid. Like, I mean, people like such a really good kid, down to earth, has a 4.2 GPA. Like the kid he gets it, right? He gets, okay, if I'm not in the top 30, I'm in the 60. Okay, I'm going to show you I'm in the top 30. I'm going to show you like I'm one of the best players in the camp. And he was fine with it. Like after the event, wasn't one of those, like, hey, I told you so. Just like, I know he knows who he is. And
and I just think 6 3-pointers and 26 points says it. It says anything better than anything he could say to Dinos or anybody else. Like I told you guys, like that kind of speaks for itself. So obviously he played at Beaumont United, which correct me if I'm wrong real quick. I'm losing my mind. They won back-to-back Class 5A state titles. Terrence Arsenault, his old teammate, is he recruiting him? Is he the number one recruiter out there? We talk about Bruce Pearl and all these guys. Is Terrence Arsenault the number one recruiter, or is he going to be kind of in his own boat and he has his own favorites as far as his recruitment?
Wesley's going to have his own. He has his own deal. Him and his parents, blue collar people. They're just going to see what's available and kind of go from there. I know Stanford's been at him hard. People talk about Baylor, Texas, multiple schools, and Wesley's just gonna kind of take his time with it a little bit and just see his options. But he gonna look at Wesley's a smart kid. He gonna look at it. He gonna look at it again. He gonna look at it again, and make sure it's a right fit. But it's open. And I know people are saying Stanford has a really good chance. He talked about Stanford. He talked about some other schools, but he's gonna take his time. Like he's gonna watch and then when he makes a decision, he done probably went through every like pros, cons, multiple times before he makes a decision. So
the like you said, when Xavier Booker, like you said, if Duke gets in the mix, he has to consider it. And it's the same thing with the high academic. When Stanford gets involved, you got to consider it.
Right.
Just because it can change your life. And speaking of changing your life, like, did any, besides number 107, Yves, Missi, did anybody kind of like really change their life in this camp? Like, did anybody really change their trajectory of their career?
Oh man, that's a hell of a question.
I'm looking and answering my own question, but I'm looking as well.
Right. I thought to that magnitude, I really like Cody Williams from Perry. I thought he did himself a lot of good. A lot of scouts are asking about him. Devin Royal, he continued. I know he's been really good in EYBL, but I thought he has done himself a lot of good in this event. Just kind of a mismatch guy that just brings a lot to the table. But I would say if anybody, the closer ones was like Cody Williams. Got a lot of people asking about Caden Cooper as well, and Devin Royal. I would say those three just outside of Missi is like kind of in a world of his own right now.
Yeah, he's kind of in his own plane in terms of who knows him, what the public thinks of him. I think Caleb Holt. I gotta mention him. 226 from Newmarket, Alabama. I don't know what size Newmarket, Alabama is, but it sounds small. It doesn't sound too big of a town, and for him to be put in as a 226 rising ninth grader, he's still in 8th grade, going into 9th grade of this summer, and it's like 6'5", moves well, showed well. There hasn't been too many 226s. I'm sorry, there hasn't been too many rising ninth graders in this camp over the year. Mikey Williams, 4 years ago, was in this camp. Obviously, he was a senior, rising senior now. He's been on the same. The Derek Thornton was as a rising freshman who eventually got a scholarship to Duke. And there's been a few others, but so Caleb Holt's in a rare company as a rising ninth grader to be talented enough to hold his own in this camp. And did you think that? And did you think that he held his own? And what did you get a chance to see him?
Yeah, I got to see him. I was surprised he was a 226. He was a kid that really kind of used his size. Hold on one second, Ronnie. Can I see what's?
Yeah, sure. And I'll keep going here. And he did a really good job. And again, like I said, 226, 6'5" kid. You don't see that very often. And he moved well and held his own. I think some other guys that did really well and maybe, kind of changed their trajectory would be, Justine Felton kind of really did well for himself. Styles Phipps continues to do well, point guard at St. Mary's. He's already getting recruited by Auburn and a few other good schools. Again, we kind of mentioned Asami Diop, MOP of the top 60 game. He did really good. And I wanted to bring up as we close this episode, Farrell Compton. Like you said, his
right.
He's going to shoot through the roof. He might even be number 2 on that list of guys that we talked about him in length, so we don't got too much in him. But like, he's on that trajectory to change his recruitment the rest of this summer. And then a guy who's recruiting, we don't know what to think of it. And we just mentioned him as a rising ninth grader. He came to the camp. He's probably the most well-known player in this camp. And I want to talk a little bit about him as we close up. Because we should. I mean, Mikey Williams.
Yeah.
He said so much has been said about him. And, you could say a million things. We could go another hour as we close it. We're gonna wrap up here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, but we can talk about for an hour about Mikey, just about his life, what he's been through, NIL, how much money he's making, how much money he's not making, why he's going back to San Ysidro, why he's not. But sometimes we mentioned with Yves, Missi, and our guest DJ Thomas mentioned it. Man, I don't know who that guy is, but he was awesome, right? Like,
right.
That's what you say. So nothing can go wrong. It's so easy to knock Mikey Williams because he's such in the public eye. It's easy to knock him. And instead of that, like, what would his recruitment look like, or what would you think of him if he didn't have the social following? He's just looking at his game. He's a 6'3" guard, strong, can pass a bit. It can create his own shot. Now, his shots weren't falling at a high percentage all the time, but at least he can create and get there. He can do that. What's your opinion? And obviously, like I said, it's easy to break him down and critique him, but how about just giving him a fair shake and what's his game like?
Yeah, I thought before he even came in and played the game, before I got in, there was people, before he got in, people were like, oh, he's going to take a bunch of shots. Why is he there? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the talent is there. Like, like you said, 6'3" guard. He's strong, can get to the rim. He's a willing passer. He can score it. Shooting can be up and down, but it's there. I thought he had a great camp. I thought he had a pretty strong camp. I was talking to some guys afterwards. Like, man, I'm just so surprised he just didn't shoot up all the balls. And I'm just like, the kid knows how to play. Like, even in Vertical Academy came down here and played in Dallas. Like, I think sometimes just because of who he is, when you got the camera on you a lot and things along that line, then they got a Puma deal. I think sometimes you look at it like, okay, perception about him, or you think he's something that, in reality, you don't really know him like that, and there's a reason that he was ranked high, early, is that he knows how to play. He knows how to play. I thought his performance was good. I thought he deserved what he got, and you can't deny what he is and his physicality, how physical he is, and his athleticism. But I would say that there was like, oh, Mikey said he's going to shoot up a bunch of shots, and
predetermined attitudes already.
Right, and I was just like, well, you don't know. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things, like, you don't know. There's the most random kid in the world could be the one just taking a whole bunch of shots. I saw kids that were way more selfish than Mikey.
Just as selfish or more selfish, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. I thought he was fine. I thought he played well.
Like that. Yeah.
Right. Right. And I just think it was unfair. I think it's unfair before he even comes to the camp to even look at him that way,
Correct. It's a little unfair, and you should just judge him for the merits of what he did. And you, like we said, we're going to be honest here on the Paint Show. He wasn't one of the top 10 performers. But he wasn't bad.
No,
and he's a comparable prospect. If you think he's people think he's making a lot of money in NIL and he's already carrying himself like a pro, and he's been around on the scene a long time. He can't live up to it. Well, if you just judge him on his game, yes, and that's the reason why he wouldn't be a highly rated performer, or not too high on national 23 lists that are credible, because he's still 6'3", maybe 6'4". He's not 6'5", 6'6", and he's not a point guard. But he can pass. He can get in the key. He can get there. Some guys can't even get there. I saw some guys that have pretty big reputations, that some length and some defenders got on them. They were going nowhere.
100%.
That I saw that in this camp a lot, and it's not to knock them or to call them out. I'm not going to say them by name. They don't need to be said by name. They just won't be on anybody's high list. But they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't get anywhere. Mikey Williams could get places. He could throw a pass. Sometimes he tries to throw a lob or a highlight pass, and maybe the timing wasn't there. But he can get in the key and make things happen. So I kind of wanted to talk to him about him a little bit, because, like we said, it's easy to knock him. And again, his percentages and his, like you mentioned, Ronnie, his shot can still improve in terms of win and take it, in terms of his percentage, but in terms of his ability, there's some ability there. So you judge it for what it is, and maybe, how do you know? Maybe he will like to go to your school, or play somewhere where you don't think he is. Everybody assumes he's just going to play where G League. Overseas,
overtime or something like that. Yeah,
he thinks he's going to do the traditional college route, but you just, let him do it, and that is the whole point. Let him fail or let him succeed. Let him do well in this camp. Don't down him in this camp when he hasn't even played a game yet.
Right. And then I just think with Mikey, it's always he's good, but it's always, it's just like you said, just judge him by how he plays, and I thought he was fine. I'm with you. He was fine. Like, we ain't saying he's top 5 or 10 guy. But, there's a lot of guys that I thought didn't play as good as him.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that didn't play as good as him as well. But let's close this out of a couple of guys, and we're going to mention a couple of guys, because we want to mention as many guys as possible and how they played. And Brandon Williams from Christ the King, who wore number 88. I thought he did really well, 6'8". Had 17 points in the top 60 game, which was by far the most competitive game. Chris Johnson from Elkins, Missouri City. I didn't see him in the All-Star game. Maybe he had to take off, or
he didn't play the All-Star game. He didn't play that top 60 game.
Yeah, he did really well. Isaiah Abraham, 6'6" from Paul the Fifth. He had 15 points. He wore jersey number 56. He did really well. I thought he showed himself well in this camp, and he helped himself by that All-Star game, but he did well anyway. So, a couple of guys that I think will be in my top 20, and again, this is top 20 in the camp, would be Abraham, Didon Thomas, Morez Johnson. The guy we didn't mention is Morez's teammate, and that'll be the last guy I'll mention, and you can mention your last guy, and we'll close out, is James Brown. We called him the Godfather. He's wears goggles. He looks a little bit like Horace Grant, but man, the first night he dunked on somebody, got the camp rolling, and everybody's like, "Whoa, did you see that?" And not so much that he got on the dunk; it's just that he set the tone with that dunk. And he's an ambidextrous guy. He can finish with the left or right. There was a few ambidextrous guys that can finish with both. James Brown did really well. James is about 6'9", 6'10", 224. Again, St. Rita's going to have one of the best teams in Illinois with Morez and him in the front court.
Right. No, I liked him. I just called him Goggles the whole time, but he was super active. Like you said, finishes left and right, has good touch around the rim. As a 224, I thought he was one of the best, one of the better overall performers, one of the best front court guys in there. One of the guy I really like, and he's just always been consistent this whole year, has been Scotty Middleton. At Sunrise, I just like just his two-way ability. I thought he offensively, I think he's really coming along as someone that can create, but I just like his ability to, score, defend multiple positions and just his scoring. I think his scoring prowess is good.
Good. Yeah. Wanted to just mention those last few guys. Again, we can mention the whole camp, but we appreciate you guys tuning in to the episode. Like I said, we're not going to talk about anything else. We just wanted to talk about these prospects, their game, their recruitment a little bit. We brought on the guests. So thank you to KJ Lewis from El Paso Chapin, going to Arizona. Thank you to Didon Thomas from Liberty of Henderson, Nevada. And thank you to Marvell Allen from Montverde Academy. You guys all know that school. They came on a short notice, so they had long flights to get back home, and they still came on the In the Paint show. So they're really the MVPs, as you know. No knock to our guy Xavier Booker. They're the real MVPs.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they did a really great job. We appreciate their insight. We appreciate you guys listening in. If you have any questions, you guys, any other player you want to talk about, let us know on Twitter. Drop us a note, Ani_Umana or at Ron M. Flores on Twitter. That's where we're probably most active. My Instagram game is not that good. Ani, your Instagram game might be a little better than mine.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't
they ain't like the kids. Them kids don't have a big Twitter following, but their Instagram following is something else.
Yeah, and our girl Chelsea, she's on her Instagram all the time, doing her thing. Honestly, Chelsea was working the UNLV camp. She helps out a lot of people on the girls' grassroots side and the girls' college side, so her input is always appreciated. If you got any questions for her, let us know as well. Hit her up on Twitter or Instagram. Follow us on the Ballislife. Follow us on all our socials. We appreciate you guys tuning into the YouTube page. The YouTube page seems like it's growing a bit, so more and more people are watching us, not just listening to us. So we appreciate when you listen on the car or listening on your way to work. Hopefully we hit the guy you wanted to talk about it in this camp. But if you didn't, hit us up. Let us know.
Yeah.
We'll mention that guy. We'll give you our honest opinion, as much honestly as we can. We'll be taking a week off as we prepare for the NBA draft show, which is on June 23rd. We may come back and talk a little bit about Section 7, just hit it hard, just like we did this, talk about nothing else, and then we're going to get ready for the draft. It's not that we don't want to talk about the other things in basketball. We just don't have time. We're already about an hour and a half in on this one. All we want to talk about is what we're the best at, is to talk about the players, the grassroots. So we appreciate it, Ani. Thank you for jumping on. I know you had a long flight back home. So, thank you for your time and expertise. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Episode 133 is in the books.
Appreciate it.